All right, just double checking my audio there. We ought to be fine. So, yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here. Welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia read through. I feel like my camera has been moved just ever so slightly, and the clouds and the natural lighting of basically anywhere has just been kind of random, just a little bit, and it's been kind of off kilter. But that's not what you guys are here about. You guys are here for some more My Hero Academia. Now, in the last chapter, oh my goodness, Midoriya just started behaving in a slightly darkish manner. Now, mind you, he isn't fully there, but the way he was behaving, just hanging up hitmen that were sent out to him, just hanging them up to dry and then just dropping them off, saying, okay, he could explode at any moment, but I don't have time to check on him right now. I gotta go find someone else. And he's just going through all these areas with Black Whip just active, with full cowling just active, and he's not bathing, he's not cleaning his clothes, he's covered in blood. And people are saying that, well, if you looked at him, you couldn't even tell if he was an actual hero. I cannot actually say. I actually cannot say where the story is going to go. But let's go ahead and get started with this chapter. Chapter 318, Reckless. Ooh. And we have Endeavor here saying, We're switching up our approach. Deku, at this rate, you're not going to last much longer. The official dispatch dates for the foreign heroes will be decided soon. That means there will be a lot more personnel available to expand our operation. You're the key to all this, so we can't have you running yourself into the ground. And it shows Midoriya just launching through the air with Black Whip still ebbing off of him. And then we see Midoriya in shadow. But the thing is, he almost looks like he has the Venom symbiote on him, because you just see the silhouette of his body, but then you see his head, and where his eye holes would be on his mask. And if you want to know, I'm reading from the official Viz site, the official publishing site for My Hero Academia. The way it looks is that the eye hole is just completely white on a completely dark body. So it's almost like he has the Venom symbiote if in this silhouette shot. I would not be surprised if people make fan art of a symbiote Deku. But Deku says, I'm still on my feet. I'm fine. And I can't give the villains time to prepare. And then there's a beep coming in. And then it just shows Midoriya, who's just still going. He's just still going. And then we have the previous users. The previous users are going out of their way to say, listen, Ninth, your wounds are far from healed, and it's not yet time to throw caution to the wind. And then it just shows Midoriya looking back extremely fast, and then just launching into the distance with lightning speed. And then we cut to the dreamscape. And there's like a gated door, and then it shows the rest of the members of One For All. We got Nana Shimura, we have Daigoro, and we got some other users here as well. Nana Shimura says, my own feelings place a heavy burden on him. Then Daigoro says, nah, the kiddo sees every cause as a worthy one. Then the other user says, for better or worse, the manifestation of our quirks has enabled him to act on his primary motivation. He now seeks to save everyone as a true superhero. And then we have the second user, who we have yet to learn the official quirk for, saying, he's choosing the right path. You think so, leader? Inaction is not an option, especially given the circumstances. That's how it is for those of us who bear One For All. And he closes his eyes, and then he looks up, and then he says, that said, if there's anything that could bolster Izuku Midoriya now, it would be And then it cuts to the city as it shows some, petty villains trying to assault some people in the streets. Midoriya is there. He's just there. His clothes are just massively tattered, and in one panel, it shows Black Whip coming out of his hand. The thing is, the Black Whip is coming backwards out of his hand. He's not aiming at the person. It's coming out of his hand. And he stops the villains, and he causes the villains to flee. And then Midoriya says, "Are you hurt?" And then, given the scary look, that comes off of Midoriya, he just looks at one of the civilians, and the civilian says, "Multiple quirks. Are you working for All for One?" "What? No." "Great, glad to hear it. We're fine, really, we're just dandy." And then Danger Sense just pings on Midoriya, and he launches into the distance. Wow, so with the way that Midoriya is, with the fact that he has multiple quirks, and seeing as how it is getting around to people, that the people who work for All for One, have multiple quirks in their bodies, these citizens are skeptical of Midoriya. See, this is what happens. This dude has been moving so much, has not been taking care of himself properly, that some people are actually starting to confuse him for a villain. That works for the very person who's trying to bring down this entire society. That's why Midoriya needs to take a shower. Rub that Irish Spring on your body. Get that Downy. Put it on your clothes. Lay down for about a good 10-15 minutes, maybe an hour if you can spare it. Rest your mind. Turn off the quirks. Breathe, brother. Have an apple. Snap into a Slim Jim. Just slow down. Because these civilians look at you, and from a glance, before you even say really anything to them, they almost confuse you for a person who serves the person you're trying to find. You gotta rest, Midoriya. Even All Might had to rest. As many times as he would just say countless villains, but the difference between All Might and Midoriya in this instance is that everywhere All Might went, he looked. His appearance gave off the aura he gave off. His appearance gave off that of a person who is going to save you. Midoriya here has just thrown caution to the wind a little bit, has thrown self-care to the wind a little bit, and now, even though he's doing his best to help people, his appearance does not convey that. Therefore, civilians are actually getting more terrified of Midoriya showing up because he's not properly taking care of himself. Sure, he's been pushing all these days, but that doesn't matter if people still think you look like a villain, or they don't think you're a hero, or if they're skeptical of you trying to save them. All Might never gave off that impression. That's the difference between All Might and Midoriya. Midoriya may be on par with All Might's speed and strength at this point, but his appearance is not conveying that I am here. It's not really conveying that. So that is something Midoriya really needs to take in consideration, because he's so steadfast on trying to find All for One that he's really not caring about his own public self-image right now. And it's not exactly doing the best thing of filling people with hope. I know I'm analyzing this whole thing right now, but it's something I got to point out. When you're a hero, the best possible thing you can do is appearance-wise, you should at the very least take care of yourself. So people don't give you a second glance of wondering, wow, if he can't even take care of himself, how can we expect him to take care of us? That's just one borderline little question right there. Like I said, I know I'm analyzing this a lot, but Midoriya is really really overlooking something major that All Might had always had All Might presented whenever he appeared. When you saw All Might at any time, you either know he's going to be a massive goofball or he was not there to play games. But at the very least, you knew he was a hero. You didn't even need to second guess yourself. Midoriya here, it is difficult for regular civilians. But after hearing the civilian say, "We're dandy, we're fine, really, we're just dandy," Danger Sense goes off and he just launches into the sky. Because in pages 6 and 7, it shows Midoriya way above the city skyline. He is literally all the way in the air. Now remember, he has float, so he can literally just float in the air if he wanted to. But the fact that he just launched himself as high as Superman into the air, it's like, dude, that is scary at just how mobile you are. But then we continue. I'm not even halfway through this chapter yet, and I'm just already analyzing Midoriya already. What does All for One want? Where is he? I have to put a stop to Shigaraki and the League. And it shows Shigaraki, it shows Spinner, Himiko Toga, and Toya. You know, Dabi. I can't let them hurt anyone else. Now, it's your turn. And then it shows in the same panel, now it's your turn, All Might pointing towards Midoriya, and also All for One pointing towards Midoriya. Just those juxtapositions right there. I have to complete One for All, so that everyone can live their lives in peace and safety. And it shows Midoriya facing off against a giant villain of some kind, and he's just fighting it. And then he lands in a forest, and he's just walking, and then the image of his mother pops up in his head, along with Gran Torino. And they're all smiling. His mother is smiling, Gran Torino is smiling, All Might is smiling. Aizawa, who you can't really see his smile, he's just there. Then it has Eri. She's smiling as well as Midoriya lands right in front of some more civilians and uses smokescreen to, I guess, use it to cover the escape of the civilians as he takes on some of these other petty villains that he's in front of. And then he continues saying, so we can all smile together again. Now, when he says this, the appearance that Midoriya has does not look like someone who likes to smile. He looks even more villainous with this visage. And the thing is, all of his friends and his fellow students in Class 1A, they're all smiling behind him, but Midoriya is just proceeding forward like he's Spawn, just like this mad look on his face. And then he wobbles, and then he falls to his knees. Wow, so now you start to feel the tiredness of your body. Now you start to feel it. And then someone starts speaking, saying, a reckless rampage born of anxiety and impatience. You take on the world alone to the point of exhaustion and ruin. Yes, indeed, you're just as he described you. Powers in numbers, I say. Taking you in will bring me security. Now Midoriya says, you're a dictator, an escapee from Tartarus. Another hired gun. Let's hope you're the one who tells me where All for One is. Ho ho! Spoiling for a fight, are you? Very well, a fight you shall have. Against the ignorant masses themselves. And apparently, whatever quirk this dictator person has, he is controlling these civilians. We can't control our bodies! And it just shows these civilians rushing at Midoriya with different weapons and everything. Dictator, the one who caught him 5 years ago was crushed. It was during the bloodless surrender case. His quirk is despot. His control over others can only be broken with a strong blow to his victims or by knocking him out. Of course, he's taken precautions by having civilians shield him. I can't resort to big powerhouse moves. What about Air Force? No, I don't have my gloves. Maybe Black Whip? And the civilians are saying, this isn't our fault, our bodies aren't listening to us. We're not trying to hurt you. I know that. It's okay. And they actually start to pull his mask off, and you actually see Midoriya's face underneath. I'll free you of this, and you'll be fine. I just need strategy. That punk. Oh, it's Bakugo! It's Bakugo! That punk. Armor-piercing shot! And Bakugo, who has jumped above this crowd and has aimed at Dictator, hits Dictator directly in his head, knocking him out and freeing everyone. If there's anything that could bolster Izuku Midoriya right now, it would be. And then it shows the leader, and it shows the leader of the One for All group, like the second user, just watching all this go down. And then Midoriya is surprised to see Bakugo there, and then Bakugo ends the chapter by saying, "He's here, guys." And next chapter hits July 11th. We are going on break. Bakugo has joined Midoriya. Oh! 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 The one person that could possibly bring Midoriya out of this little funk he's in to, drive it home that, stupid Deku, you need to get your butt in gear. Let's go. The one person to do this has shown up. Bakugo is there with Midoriya. Yes, sir. Woohoo! That's the end of the chapter. Okay, so here's the thing. Up until this point, Midoriya, Warlord raid. Well, thank you, Runaway Warlords. The thing about this entire chapter is it shows Midoriya. Wow, I'm getting raided by someone else? So that's what that means. So I guess someone else had a stream and some people are raiding my stream now? That's cool. That's very cool. The thing about this chapter is it really showed that all that has been going on with Midoriya ever since All For One had that little speech, it has been weighing on Midoriya so much that it's actually started to affect his thinking. So it gets to a point where some people are kind of slightly apprehensive of approaching Midoriya, but also they're kind of a bit uneasy because they think that, well, they know that people who have multiple quirks can be linked to All For One. Or at least they tend to be linked. We just wrapped up a raid and sent them your way. We know you do One Piece too. Well, Runaway Warlords, I very much appreciate entertaining more people. I just finished the chapter, so I'm just talking about it right now. So it'll be up later for you guys to view from the beginning, if you so choose. But the thing about Midoriya is ever since All For One has spoken to him, and they blew up the building, his mindset has been shifted a little bit. He's here, guys. Bakugo got a haircut? Are you sure? It could just be the fact that he's he's airborne and his hair is just moving in the wind. Actually, you know what? No, because his hair would be like partly across his forehead and stuff like that, wouldn't it? Here, we can see his forehead. So, did Bakugo actually get a haircut? Did your boy get a clean fade? Your boy might have gotten them shortened spikes. He might have shortened up them spikes just a little bit. But the thing about this chapter, I have just one question. What happened to the solo leveling readings? Every time a chapter has come up, it's been delayed. All the times that I was normally supposed to do the solo leveling readings, I read that it's been delayed because Chugong's health, the author of solo leveling, has not been good. And every time a new chapter is supposed to come out, like the past 2 Wednesdays, I had to delay and let you guys know that I couldn't do the stream because the chapters were not available, and they have been delayed until Chugong gets better, because he has not, his health is not where it needs to be. I don't know where it is for this week, and like I said, I'll put it in a community post just in case there's a delay. But the reason why there haven't been any readings is because the chapters have just been delayed for Chugong's health. For 2 straight Wednesdays, 2 straight weeks this has happened. So if that's what Epic Quinn, if that's what you're wondering where they've gone to, it's just that there have been no new chapters ever since the last one that I did. So I know there's a bit of a drought of me doing my readings, trust me, I'm looking out as well. But yeah, that's what's going on with solo leveling right there. So I'll keep an eye on seeing how things are going as far as solo leveling, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. The thing about this chapter, and let me just focus here, is that whatever the words that All For One said to Midoriya has affected him mentally, and it has caused him to only become steadfast in this idea. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Of course, Epic Quinn, of course. I'm always going to let you guys know when stuff like this happens. I'm happy to explain. Midoriya has been so steadfast in finding All For One that he has neglected every essential thing that should benefit him. Even slightly pushing some people away. I understand pushing them away to keep them safe, but his responses have been kind of dry, and he's not even taking care of himself. He's not cleaning his body. He's not cleaning his clothes. he's becoming covered in grime and dirt and blood, and it's just causing people around him to like, not people that know him, but just average people to think, wow, you wouldn't think that he's a hero just from the way he looks. He's having his black whip on constantly. He's covered in full cowling, just walking around constantly, and he's not really taking care of himself. Every time there's a single thing of danger, he just immediately runs to it. And he has been doing this nonstop. And then when he runs into one of the other higher guns that All For One sent towards his way, Dictator, who is using civilians as his own shield before Bakugo takes him out, Midoriya pretty much drops to his knees because his body is tired. He has literally been running on nothing but sheer willpower and fumes for the longest. Dude hasn't even eaten. He didn't even eat the bento lunch that All Might gave him in the last chapter. Are we back? Are we good? Are we good? Are we back? Okay. Had a little bit of an internet issue then and there. Apologies, everyone. Hopefully you can hear the sound of my voice. Sound off in chat if you guys can. We need to go back to where I left off. I had to look at my stream just to make sure that everybody's still good. Yes, we back. Mohamed says we're back. VZ Art, we are back. Okay. Internet went out completely. Had to reset the router and turn it back on, and then get everything back to where it was before. So now we can continue with what I was talking about. Midoriya has been neglecting all necessary necessities. And I'm going to do it without skipping a beat because the whole period where it was just nothing playing, yeah, thankfully YouTube will cut out that whole dead air right there. I need to update the chat that's on the side so it can show what you guys are saying. So hold on, let me pop this out. Then let me copy this. Then because it's not, for some odd reason, it doesn't want to show what you guys are saying in this chat right here, but I want to get that right. So let me get your chat up here so you guys can actually see what you've been saying this whole time. And then go in. And there we go. There we go. Now you guys can see everything that he's saying, so no one is left out. Good. Midoriya's been running himself ragged this entire time, neglecting all necessary necessities, such as cleanliness, cleaning his suit, everything, even eating. Dude has not been eating. He didn't even eat the lunch that All Might left him. I know I said that before the internet cut out completely. And the thing is, so steadfast on what All For One has said, he has literally had tunnel vision. This whole time he's had tunnel vision, trying to find All For One and stop him from enacting this plan of his, that he's literally lost a little bit of his sense of self, a little bit, I want to say. In the sense of self-preservation as well. Because when he's up against Dictator and Bakugo, stops Dictator before Midoriya gets engulfed by the crowd trying to, under the control of his quirk, Midoriya literally had a moment where he broke down and was on, dude is just running on the last bit of energy he could possibly have normally. Not using the energy of One For All to keep him going, but his own energy. Because he's been, and you have to think about how mentally taxing it has to be to focus your body, to have full cowling on all the time, to use float and have danger sense going off, which mentally is like a throbbing thing that happens in his head, and he had to rein that in. But you can imagine the mental exhaustion that comes from having Black Whip out all the time, having danger sense ready to go off at any time, having full Callan going all the time, and just jumping from one place to the other, non-stop, every time you sense danger, saving civilians, stopping villains, and especially big villains, like giant villains as well. He's been facing off against those as well. So him facing off against Dictator, one of the higher guns, has to be the point where his body just says, nope, you need to stop right here, and he just falls to the ground. He falls to his knees. This dude has open wounds and is filthy. He's gonna get sick. That is how you get infections. When you have wounds all over your body, and your body's caked in blood and dirt and grime and germs, and filthy little amoebas get inside of your wounds and start messing with your body, that's how you get sick. I don't think there's a disease immunity quirk within Midoriya right now. So the dude really does need to take care of himself. He's just going nonstop. And the thing is, in this chapter, let me go back to it. In this chapter, he is saying, the thing he's thinking of is, I can't let them hurt anyone else. I have to complete One for All so that everyone can live their lives in peace and safety. He says this on the pretense of making it so that everyone can smile again. But at the same time, he is running himself ragged, putting his own life at risk just to accomplish this. I know I said this earlier, but All Might made sure to take care of himself. But Midoriya is thinking that I have this thing is all left up to me, so I gotta go push myself past normal, natural limits in order for this to work out. He thinks, for some odd reason, he thinks that, and this is a Skittles gummy, he thinks that if he pushes himself past, the point of exhaustion, just ignoring the fact that his body needs to rest, then every second I rest is a moment where All for One can enact another plan. So I'm just going to ignore basic human needs just to go for All for One. Well, what happens when you get to him? You're doing all this running around, trying to find a person that you need to be in tip-top shape to face against, and you think you're just going to have just enough strength to take him on? It just shows you how his mindset has changed. The boy who used to plan ahead so much, analyze every single thing, has just gained tunnel vision and is now just going face first, not paying attention to things coming from out of his peripheral vision like he should. He's just going face first, just trying to find a villain who knows about All for One. Doesn't know anything about him, move on to the next one. Not paying attention that All for One is not what happened? Think about it. What do you think would happen to Midoriya if he were to face All for One in his current state? If he found All for One right now, running throughout the entire city, running himself ragged, hasn't eaten, hasn't slept, hasn't cleaned his body at all, he's not in 100% shape, which is something any person should be in if you're facing off against the most powerful villain in Japan. What do you think is going to happen to him? Does he think things are just going to work out? Does he think plot armor is just going to protect him just because he has friends and All Might and Endeavor and everyone else? Is he crazy? All for One is not a villain you can come at with half of your strength. You need to make sure that you are 100%. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what is in his mind and thinking that what happens if you find out where All for One is. Oh, you're just going to go and then rest? Or are you going to go confront him right then? Where you literally are just running on fumes. See, it shows you just how much his mental state, I haven't even eaten it. It shows you just where his mental state is. And a wise person would make sure that before they take on another person, they are at their absolute best. They're in best, especially if you're going to fight someone. Like, take a boxer, for example. You don't wait until the day of or the night of the fight for you to prepare. No, you prepare. If you know the opponent you're going to be fighting, then you need to prepare weeks, even months ahead of time to make sure that your body is in tip-top shape 100% of the time leading up to the fight, so that way you can get through that fight and not say, and if you wind up winning, then it's because you trained, but if you wind up losing, it's because you didn't. Midoriya is not taking that necessary preparation in hand. Now, I'm not saying that he's not thinking of calling on the other heroes and then resting until they do the final assault on All for One. It's just that he's going about this. His method of trying to find information on All for One is damaging him more than him actually getting that information. That's just what I'm saying. This dude, he's shouldering the entire weight of the current situation when he doesn't have to. He's making the same mistake as All Might. One pillar isn't enough to keep society up. Yes, exactly. Because when you go to a building, you don't see one pillar just holding it up. There are multiple pillars to share the weight of the building. Like support beams within a building. There's no such thing as a one support beam building. Ever. There are multiple support beams in order to hold the weight and shoulder the entire structure. So All Might made the mistake of thinking he could take on all of the weight of all the turmoil, all the responsibilities of being the number one hero on his shoulders, thinking that he's the end-all be-all reason for, he's the end-all be-all pillar that needs to be there, but there's multiple of them. Midoriya's making the exact same mistake and thinking that it's all up to me. Yes, it will take Midoriya to take down All for One and Shigaraki, but he doesn't. But until that point, he doesn't have to do every single thing leading up to that point on his own. And Bakugo showing up in this chapter is a great way to showcase that Midoriya does not have to do this by himself. Not just Bakugo, because he says he's here, guys. So is the rest of Class 1A catching up to Bakugo? Because think about it, Midoriya left a letter to every member of his class saying that I'm going to be going away for a while. All the things that are happening is because of me, and they're going to be coming after me. So I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of Class 1A is there with Bakugo to give Midoriya support. Which is exactly what Midoriya needs right now. He won't listen to All Might. He's okay with just leaving All Might and All Might thinking that maybe I didn't do enough for the kid. But when his student friends, who frankly will do whatever they want, regardless of how much Midoriya says, don't follow me, don't do anything because then your lives will be in danger. No, these are his friends. So Midoriya ain't gonna have, if his entire class shows up along with Bakugo, I would not be surprised if they decide to try and help Midoriya out because this is the rest he needs. There probably are, since he talked to somebody when he arrived. He says, he's here, guys. Wouldn't be surprised if all of Class 1A is there. I would not be surprised. And this is the break. This is the break that Midoriya needed. From extras to guys. I like it. Yeah, man, Bakugo has grown personality-wise. He doesn't see anyone as trash beneath him. He now starts to see people as, people he doesn't walk ahead of, but people he can walk beside. So it shows you that all that time with Best Jeanist has really mellowed him out just a little bit. All the events have really mellowed him out when you think about it. Deku forgets that his friends are training to be heroes as well. They aren't just regular civilians. I think that's the thing with Midoriya. Since he has the power one for all, he thinks he's all society needs. When a person becomes a user for one for all, it is not out of the realm of possibility for them to think that they are the thing necessary to take down any evil, especially All for One. But user for one for all, especially Midoriya, seeing as how he sees himself as, I gotta be the one to take on All for One, and I gotta take on Shigaraki. It's gotta be me. It's gotta be me. It's gotta be me. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I have to save society. But he keeps forgetting that it's not just him that lives in this society. Not just civilians, but his friends, who, like VZ Art says, his friends are working towards and training towards becoming heroes as well. So you can't just leave out his friends thinking that just because you have one for all, you're all society needs to keep the world in check. Now Midoriya has no choice with his class possibly coming in to give him aid. He's going to have no choice but to see that, hey, just because you have one for all, one of the most powerful quirks in existence, does not mean you can do it all on your own. Deku realizing he's the main character. He understands the plot and everything and realizes, I gotta do all of this. It's gotta be me. I'm the main character. The plot armor only goes but so far. But I am glad Bakugo is there. Because maybe Bakugo can knock some sense into Midoriya and get him back to the Midoriya we all know. Sure, the look he has might be a bit off-putting to the rest of his class, wouldn't be surprised, but I cannot wait to see the conversation between Bakugo and Midoriya and see where it goes from here. Is Bakugo gonna be the one to wake him up? I really hope so. Because Midoriya, just with him running with this mentality of, I can only do this by myself. I don't want anyone else to get hurt, so I'm going to selfishly take this on by myself. Not realizing how people will feel if I do this by myself. Because then when you think about it, when Midoriya is saying, I got to do this on my own, are you saying that the people who are around you are not capable of keeping up with you? Or are you just saying that because you don't want them to get hurt? You don't have one for all. I do, so I'm going to keep going. It's a classic villain move to isolate the hero because they know they are more of a threat if they have support of others. All the more reason I thought Stain was the one to show up, but I'm happier with Bakugo. I'm happy with Bakugo as well because Midoriya has that special bro relationship with Bakugo that is needed right here and now to get Midoriya back on the track of being the hero that we all know he can be, versus the one he's trying to force himself to be in order to take on All for One. So I'm glad Bakugo is there. And him one-shotting a person who was hired by All for One. And All for One does not hire weak people. For Bakugo to just show up and just one-shot the dude with the perfect aim shot. And the thing is, Bakugo's quirk, it's an exploding quirk. And Dictator was surrounded by civilians. So for him to pinpoint his explosion to hit the guy square on the head and not affect any of the civilians, yeah, that's accuracy. He has controlled explosion radius with this now. So I'm pretty sure he had it before, but Bakugo has become a lot stronger than he was at the beginning. He was just all about explosions, but now he's learned how to focus it. So now he can hit people straight in the head with many explosions and still knock the person out fully without harming any civilians that are around him. If this last panel is anything to go by. But, whew, what a chapter, right? All to show Bakugo showing up at the last minute with possibly Class 1A not too far behind. And it may not even just be Class 1A. It could be Class 1B. It could be other students, not just the ones that we're used to, but the other students like Monoma and Tetsu and all the other ones that are in the other classes coming to lend us some support as well. Can you imagine the majority of the students from Class 1A coming to support Midoriya? That's a president that I don't think All for One would be looking towards. As much foresight All for One has, he works best when he isolates heroes and psychologically manipulates them. But when you have people behind you to give you that morale boost, that support, it can counteract that psychological manipulation when you think about it. When you're by yourself, you start to second guess yourself. You can start to second guess yourself. If a person says, you're nothing, you don't have what it takes to beat me. All these other people who tried to do it on their own, they didn't have what it takes either. But if you have someone who's behind you to reassure you that this is going to work out, or more than one people behind you saying like, hey, it's going to be all right, we're here with you to support you, then that type of psychological manipulation doesn't work as well. So this is what Midoriya needs mentally, not just physically, to help him so he can rest and so he can take on different villains while his other fellow students help him out as well. But mentally, this will give Midoriya that reassurance that I don't need to do this all on my own. I got my friends here with me. That's enough comfort for me. So that little psychological manipulation that All for One is trying to plague on Midoriya to get him to slip up. Because that's what he's doing. He's causing Midoriya to think, oh, I need to rush, and I need to do all this. I need to find out where All for One is. He's counting on Midoriya to be tired when all is said and done, so he can take Midoriya, and so you can work towards taking One for All. Because the only way you're going to be able to take One for All from its user is, I mean, making them tired is one surefire way to make it so that they don't struggle as much. So that's what All For One is counting on. He's sending all these villains out there into the city to get Midoriya tired, so Midoriya is easy pickings for any other hired gun that can pick him up and bring him to All For One. That's what he's betting on. But what he didn't count on is the potentiality of his friends coming in to give him that support he needed, that rest he needed, so he can be at 100%, so that Midoriya is a lot more difficult to take down. That's one thing All For One is not really counting on. He thinks that if Midoriya leaves, then he'll leave his friends behind in order to make sure that they don't hurt themselves. His friends are not gonna come after him because they know the type of danger and this devastation that's been seen beforehand. So there's no way his friends are going to be able to come up and help him out, which makes it easier for me to wear down his health, wear down his mental state, so he's easy pickings. So I can take him, and then I can take One For All. But then you have the students show up and give Midoriya that much needed rest he needs it, that much needed morale boost, that much needed psychological boost, that much needed mental boost. And then all of a sudden, the plans of attempting to take Midoriya in a weakened state no longer work. See, this is why it's good to have friends. Because you never know when you're going to need that moral support to get you through this that one particular moment that could literally make you say, I give up. This is the moment that Midoriya needed. Because he was not counting on Bakugo showing up. He was so sure that giving a letter to his fellow students and then leaving out for like God knows how long would be enough to keep them away. But as we see, students of 1A are very disobedient when it comes to reading letters. And now Bakugo and potentially all of Class 1A and Class 1B may be there to give him that hand that he needs. So overall, I'm looking forward to the next chapter. Sorry if I started analyzing this a little bit too long. And apologies for people who were here. If you were part of the Warlords raid, sorry about the whole internet issue that showed up and possibly, kept you guys out for too long. And I understand that some of you guys left because of the whole internet issue, but I'm glad that if you stuck around, that you stuck around, because this is a good chapter. But here's the thing, we are not getting a chapter next week. So no My Hero Academia next week. It's going to be... says that we're going to be getting one on July 11th. So we're going to be skipping next week and then the week afterwards. But overall, this was a really good chapter. A fantastic chapter of One Piece and an awesome, amazing, fantastic chapter of My Hero Academia. This one's a 9 for me as well. That's my review. And I like the direction that the narrative is going in as far as character development. Like, even the vestiges of One For All is saying, like, well... Even him going on to, like, it's all the things that's going on, he's running himself ragged. He's just so steadfast in this mindset right now. But I just want to say, these chapters have been going... I mean, when was the last time we had a break from My Hero Academia? It's actually been a hot minute. Let me look. Let me actually look at the list. Yeah, we got one, like, in between... Actually, you know what? The last time we got a break, April 11th, 18th, 25th, May 9th, 16th, 23rd, 30th, June 6th, 13th, 20th, 27th. Okay, Horikoshi has been going strong for at least a solid month, and maybe even 2 months without a break. Because if I look at my calendar here and I go back up to May... Alright, so... Okay, so he took a break on the 4th of April, but then was just going strong. Actually, he took another break on May the 2nd as well. But he's just been going strong ever since then. 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th. He hasn't had a break since the 2nd of May. So he's just been going strong this entire time. But he definitely does need a break. He definitely does need a break. As do all mangakas. They all need a break. As much as we would like to continue these stories, they need to take care of their health. first and foremost. I don't know if any of them ever watch any of my videos. I highly doubt that they do, but they need as much rest as we do. As much as we like to read their stories, they need to take time out for themselves and, just relax and breathe. So I'm glad he's taking a break for this. But that's all I got for you guys. I cannot wait to see what happens in the next chapter. But like I said, we're going on break next week, so don't expect a chapter out. So with that being said, thank you all for enduring this entire stream. I know there was a whole internet issue. I apologize for that. I'll be more mindful of that in the future, and I'll try and adapt to it as quickly as possible so we can continue our talks when it comes to these live streams and what have you. But I want to thank those who stuck around for persevering. You are the real MVPs, and I am nothing but humbled by your continued support of this channel. Because you know me, still working towards that whole full-time thing, and I'm not going to stop until I reach it, no matter how long it takes. So with that being said, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples.